I'm gonna watch.
Okay.
No, we don't.
All right, we'll start.
Oh, yeah. But that's only part of this.
Okay, I'm gonna open up the police station, building committee, and call it to order. It is a little past 5:30, 5:35, 5:30. The first thing on the agenda is approval of 7:12 and 7:27 minutes. Did everybody get a copy? All right, do you have a motion on the floor?
Motion. Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was easy. Number two, well, he went outside, do you guys wanna, do you have anything? Yeah.
Yeah, we did just get back. I was leaving for another meeting, but I will pass this out for everybody, but we do have all the additional Kelly information now.
Thank you.
So it looks like they added all the additional information that we did ask for. They have located the wells, the head wall, and some benchmarks. So, Andy, I don't know if you got a chance to look at this yet. I was just passed it out and sent it around.
I got it today. I looked at the wells,
Yep.
and they're in the location that was sent a little while ago.
Yep.
About a week ago, so, yes, but we, just in time, we need it to
Yeah.
get going.
We just got it, that came across at like 11 o'clock today, so. But at a quick glance, I thought everything was pretty good. It looked like that he
Yep.
had everything we were looking for, so that's good. You can start moving forward with that. And as far as the rest of the site update, we'll be reviewing schematic plan for the attic today, and also schematic floor plan and looking at some building and massing. Andy?
Yes, yep. You want me to start?
Yeah, you jump right into it.
So the slide I have up is the attic concept site plan that I'm working with.
He's going around.
I'll be, so if you remember last time, we looked at the attic concept. It's a one-story building, and then we utilize the attic space that comes along with the building to locate some of our program space as a good cost control measure. So the site that this is where I'm at. Let me show you one thing I changed since we talked about last. If you look at your plans, this is the Sallyport area right here. Let me orient everybody. This is Chase Road. Here's Memorial Drive. Memorial Park's right here. Everyone kind of get the gist of where we're at. Here's the Public Works over here. The elementary school would be over here. So before I get into the details here, the change between this one and the last one is I rotated the Sallyport 90, which in discussions with Michael made a much nicer space between patrol and investigative, and then flow into command assistant up in this corner here. So, yep, you have it in front of you. It's still the same scheme we talked about in front with the visitor parking. I've moved, and we talked about this change, was moving the overflow parking over here to this side, leaving this side open, the low slope, wide open for, I'm showing future expansion, but anything could go on out there. You know, anything that you'd utilize a lawn for, including a opportunity for future expansion very easily.
It's nice to know that area is open.
Wide open, and it's natural. It's a very nice slope naturally. Our worst slope is here, along Memorial Drive. It's a very tough slope, and it not only is steep, but it starts to cut back. And that's because they did a cut to make Memorial Drive work. You can see here the contour lines came like this, and they started cutting them back. So if you're standing here looking up Memorial Drive, you see a real steep bank, about as tall as yourself, coming down. So this is the difficult part here. So that's why the public entry, if you came off Memorial Drive, you'd be here. If you came off Chase, you'd be here. and it's you know, like a 6-foot difference, so it works. If you start going up any higher, it could get uncomfortable. I did have the overflow parking here, and we were sharing an entry between the police patrol cruisers and this public entry. It's separated now. Police business this way, staff parking here, cruiser parking here, with the opportunity for a carport or a cover for the cruisers. This arrow represents patrol entry or employee entry, with the cruisers here and the staff parking there. Here's a Sally Port, drive-through Sally Port is here now. You can drive through. There'd be a gate here, just a simple chain link or whatever, so that whenever this overflow is used, I haven't seen these in a while, so I'm not remembering the numbers off my head, but this is 20-something and this is 20-something. So I think this one's in the order of 20-something spaces.
31 in the front of the building and 26 in the overflow?
Right, so what I did is I targeted the 70 people. So if you take these two and then take 15 on the street, you've got enough for 20 people to park. And you also have, I believe it was 5 spaces over right across the street at Memorial Park, if they wanted to park there. So that's how I came up with these two numbers. You can now accommodate that 72, 75 person number coming up. The 2 retaining walls coming off like a pinwheel. One on this side, which would be the west side of the building, and one almost due south. And then these would lead up to the attic drive-in. So they would spin off the building like this, and this would be at the high grade. So somebody could come in here and go up and pull into the impound bay or the vehicle storage in the garage, right here. The retaining wall then makes it possible for this parking to be at the level of the building, and the building is basically the same grade all the way around right now.
Where would you put your septic system?
So that's the very next step. We're going to have to do some test holes to see where it would go. I would like, the well had an influence, believe it or not. I just saw the final survey today, but there was a drawing that was circulated where somebody had located some wells by coordinates and applied a 200-foot radius. And it was, believe it or not, the 200-foot radius, the only way I could figure out exactly how far it went is it was touching where this police access road came in. So it was over here. So there is a chance, and we can apply science to it now that we have the well located. There is a chance that the radius is something like this for that well, which means it would have to go over here, Chief. Somewhere over here. So,
in the green area.
yeah, because and again, this isn't, I did some things on this plan myself, and you know, I'm not a surveyor, but before I had my survey, I went out there, I shot some elevations, I pulled tape and put in this road here for myself, I put in the Memorial Park, and I did this offset for the wetlands. So this is not the engineer or the surveyor's offset, keep in mind. I just wanted to make sure, you know, that I at least got a shot when he's come in. So the septic certainly can't come within 100 feet of these wetlands. It's not going to come within the radius of that well, so that's going to put us somewhere around here. Preferably out over here. I don't know what they could do under the parking lot. Maybe they could do infiltrators there also. That's where it's going to have to go, because the influence of the well comes that close. It's a 200-foot radius because of public well, rather than 100. So I located an auxiliary building right here. One goal would maybe to be eliminate that because of the attic scheme. But I just showed how this could possibly fit into this scheme if we didn't choose to develop the attic, where you know, in scale what size it would be to fit on the site plan. So here you could come in, put stuff into the auxiliary building and pull out. So if you didn't use the attic, your impound and your vehicle storage would be over here. Okay? So that's the site concept. Why don't we, does anybody have any questions about this? And again, when you look at this, the closer these lines are together, the steeper the land is. So you can see here it's very steep. You can see here it really starts to flatten out. So I'm trying to utilize this flatter area to ease our construction.
Andy, I know these are some bigger retaining walls.
Right.
Do you think, and I know retaining walls have gotten a little bit easier to construct.
Very much easier.
Over the years.
Yeah.
Do you think the cost of these is less than the cost, I guess, are we saving more money by doing the attic and getting square footage up in the attic? Or is that being offset, you think, by the large retaining walls rather than going to like a one floor?
Well, that's a good question, and here's how I look at it. If you want to have most of your function on one story, you're going to be dealing with retaining walls. And I do think that's the way to go here. Short of, you know, if you don't use any retaining walls, you would end up with a building that's dark on one side with earth against it,
Yeah.
and around the corner, and you'd have to go 2 stories with an elevator and the whole shooting match.
Yeah.
So giving that line of thinking, since you're going to be using retaining walls, I think this drive-up attic almost becomes a no-brainer, unless you're willing to go with a very small floor, I won't say very small, a small floor plate on the first floor and develop a second floor with just as much square footage and almost half it and try to divide the spaces up.
Sure.
Other than that, you're going to be dealing with retaining walls, and why not make it so you can drive up and in?
Make use of it, yeah.
Right. Now, can we circulate the first floor?
Sure. Quick question, Andy.
Yeah,
On your
sure.
parking spaces, are you using town bylaw parking spaces? Do you have a bylaw now for parking spaces? Or do you use a generic space?
You mean size-wise?
Size-wise?
We're larger. I do that because I know if I lay it out this way, it'll definitely fit. The numbers I'm showing you will definitely fit. The
Okay.
town bylaw allows 9 feet.
9 feet.
And I lay these out at 10
Okay.
at this level. But they would go to 9, and hopefully everything shrinks up a little.
And I know this is down the road a little too, Andy, but that gate, I know you said chain link, but I think, you know, that could work nicely as maybe an arm. That way,
It
with a
Absolutely.
drive-through,
Yep.
you know, it opens only from the police side and not from the public side.
Rick, it's probably good to send the attic around too at the same time with this round. So Rick's sending around
How am I doing, by the way? Okay?
a floor plan. So this floor plan now, this is more than just a spatial relationship diagram. This is taking the spatial relationship diagram and it's become rooms.
You got that, Paul?
This is the second floor.
Let me know when anybody, you should have a first floor plan and an attic plan. So now you should have 3 sheets. Site concepts, first floor plan, and an attic plan. Everybody there? Okay. So here's our first floor plan based on the schematic diagram that was presented at last meeting, except for the fact that I took detention and rotated it 90 degrees. And what this allowed me to do is to isolate the tension much better, get the sally port in a better area, and then make a real nice relationship between patrol and investigative, and then flowing into command. So let me walk you through this, and let me introduce a concept to you first before I walk you through the floor plan. This right here is detention, and detention is going to be built out of concrete, basically concrete block, which is standard. So this is your detention here. You can see it by the hatched walls right here. It's a very efficient layout. It has all the program spaces that were asked for. But what's also interesting when I have it here, the plan would be, and you can see the note, to build this on a concrete block and then put concrete plank over it. And that's where you could have the impound vehicle and the garage above and the fitness room. So the garage spaces in the attic and the fitness room would go over detention on concrete floors. and it would be a complete concrete construction for your processing and detention. That's the concept there. Pulled out from the building so we can isolate it as concrete construction, and then this as steel or wood or whatever we choose as we progress. Does everybody understand that? And the other concept is the optional sally port, I'm sorry, of course we're doing a sally port, the optional carport right here. And you can see this big arrow here shows staff entry and patrol entry. So let me walk you through from the public side, and we'll come back around as an employee. Public enters at this triangle here, okay? A vestibule or an airlock, and then you come into the lobby. Lobby has some waiting area seats, and what I strive for in this plan is very strong axes. Very strong axes make for very clear, concise circulation and ease of separation, and it also sets up a nice formal facade, which I think is nice, a strong formal facade with good balance, which I think is proper for a police station. So the axis comes straight on, and here's dispatch in the main desk. So you can see that strong axis from as soon as somebody comes in. And here's a waiting area. Now, if this room was going to be utilized as a meeting room, public would access in here and enter through these doors here, or I also added a door here. We do need another door for egress. Anything over 49 people, you'd need two ways out of this room. So I've put it over here so that you could choose to lock this down at night and just let people come in and out of this side door without coming through the police station.
But the restrooms wouldn't be assessed.
Right, so you'd have to use those.
Unless you put the restrooms on that side.
Yeah, you're not going to want to, because of you're going to want the kitchenette off of it and its storage and everything else. You could look into maybe having another set of doors here. Maybe that could be closed at night.
Where?
Here. So this is the public meeting room, training room, EOC. It has a kitchenette off of it, coat closet over here, and chair storage and EOC storage associated with it. Public would also have access to this main desk and an interview room, which would be located off the lobby right here. Then it's closed off. You can see where the public access ends. So that's where the public access ends. Now we're into the staff areas of the station, and this is command assistant up in this corner. This is the main, this is the administrative assistant's desk right here, where she could sit, and this could be a glass partition, and she could have full view of anyone coming down here. And she also has real quick access into the records area and straight into communications and dispatch. So what I got from the meetings was that the administrative assistant is a very key person who has to have access to dispatch records and the CA area. So a guest coming to the CA area would come through here, be picked up by the assistant, and then could sit and wait over here. This is the work area. You got some storage, you got a copier, a counter, and a seat for another person. CA will have its own door for in and out. Quick access in, quick access out without having to go through the front or the back. CA has a conference room. The chief's office, of course, over here on the corner. Can I see have one of the floor plans? I can't read this one from here. Is there another one there, Rick? Oh, you went out.
There's a couple down here.
Down there, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the administrative lieutenant's office, in between the chief and the conference room. Another administrative office over here, and you can see that these all cluster into a hallway that would also have access to the conference room and a bathroom area. right off of here. Over here is some archive storage of files, again in good proximity to the administrative assistant. A coffee area, a lot of area for locked files, and then straight into the work area where you would have storage for that department. So this would constitute the command administration area of the building over here. Right down the hall from them would be the detective's office, would be right here. It's a large shared office, and it also has access to an interrogation room, which is right over here. And through this door, you're now into patrol, which there's another interview or shared meeting room that they could use for meeting, or could also use it for interrogation if need be, but this would be more like a shared room over here.
Can I interrupt
Yeah.
you? That particular door at the end of that corridor,
Yes.
is that fire code, or
No.
is that?
It's not fire code.
I'm wondering, would it be better just to have a straight corridor down there, or were
I
you
would-
thinking
I
more
would
for
say that-
privacy, or?
Yeah, you know, a lot goes on, and here it's just strictly for privacy and separation. That's all. That'd be up to you. That could go. Now when you do come through it, you're into patrol. You can see that the staff enters here. There's a vestibule or an airlock. Right to the left, this is all evidence, which flows off of patrol and processing detention. Right over here. Here's the drop-off area, and then here's the secure area. You could drop it off through here, and then whoever has access can come in here and pick it up, process it, and then store it over into the evidence and storage. Everything that's needed for evidence and storage is contained all in that area. If you came in and went to the right, there'd be roll call. Next to that, a report prep room. And then the training accreditation office and a shared patrol sergeant's office out here in this nice wing where we could get them some nice windows. So that would be patrol. That would flow into investigative. So that flows very nicely, which then also has nice adjacency to processing and detention, which is over here. Coming up this side is we have the break room. Over here, a little bit out of the way, and on the other side of that is the stairs that would get you up to the attic level. Then what I did here is, this is where the electric room will go, and an IDF closet, because I'm working on putting the IT equipment upstairs, up in the attic, which we'll see when we go up there. This room here these are flexible rooms. I built some flexibility into here. So this room here, which right now I'm calling quartermaster storage, that has a potential to become the future elevator. And the storage room behind that would become the machine room. You still need machine rooms in Massachusetts. So this could become a future elevator and a machine room if needed. Right dead center is the communications and dispatch. It's all self-inclusive. You can see the main desks, the two stations, and over here is, that's the records work area, which has adjacency to administrative assistant, and then you can also get in to the dispatch area from there. And the break room and the toilet room built right in, so these people would not have to leave this central area. This is a change from the program that we saw last time. A weakness was the status offender room. It was located with the wrong adjacencies, and they wanted the people in dispatch to have a good view of it. So I've located it right up here, closer to the public area, and very close to the door of this dispatch area, and you could put a window in this wall, and you could look right in from dispatch. So that's where I moved status offender over to. This is the emergency electrical closet, and weapons cleaning and armory right in here. And then down along here is a lot of storage. You got defib storage. I believe this one's a patrol storage, a locked file room. Then in this corner we got some staff toilets, a male and a female accessible toilet. Then we're right back up, and back to back is the toilet room for the dispatch center. So, communication dispatch center, evidence, break room, stairs up to the attic, electrical room, storage and sprinkler. And then over here is storage for now. This could become the elevator. Any questions?
Yeah, so we've had the opportunity to look at this plan,
Yes.
and one of the things I noted was, for an officer to interact with dispatch, they would obviously use the phone system, or they'd have to physically enter the dispatch area. So one of the things I was thinking of is this electrical room, emergency electrical
Yes.
room here. If we eliminated part of it or all of it, you could actually have a hall that goes to dispatcher with a counter there that the officers would be in close
Yep.
proximity
Got
to
it.
communicating with dispatch, but they wouldn't be physically interfering or disrupting the dispatch center.
Sure.
One of the
That
other-
works.
One of the other things we noted was there was no wall over here on the roll call room,
Yes.
and,
So that's completely flexible.
okay, so if we put a wall over here, we obviously have to expand.
It's not there, you can put the wall there. I designed it so it's completely flexible. If we put a wall
Okay.
there, we're still meeting the square footage requirements. It's not because we're short on space.
All right.
So, that was a question I was gonna put to you. Do you want this open, do you not want it?
Well, I'll throw it out to everybody, but I think that there's a lot of room for distraction. If these rooms are being used, et cetera, then people's attention that's supposed to be here in roll call will be disrupted. If you put the wall down here, then you're gonna have to bring this wall out in the report prep room as well, which makes the report prep room bigger. Maybe put a copying machine in there, et
And we
cetera.
have room to do that. You can see here that,
So I like the fact that it is flexible. What were some of the other things?
Well, one of the other things, and I know like you had a good flow with this, but we're really interested in separating dispatch from everybody as much as possible. One of the things we were talking about was possibly flipping the break room with the training accreditation office. Because again, like this is a break room, is a place where people are milling around, and then it had pretty close proximity to dispatch, which we didn't want.
Yeah, the break room seems like it's just off too far from the rest of the,
Yeah, so I
patrol.
think if we made like a swap, they're similar, I guess, size, whatever, something similar to that would be probably pretty helpful.
So on the side of the sergeant's office?
Yeah, that's fine if the break room ended up being over there. I kind of like that because if I'm in my office, I'd also know who's in the break room. So if they need to get booted out, I can do that too.
just take a note quick.
Yeah.
Question for the department. As far as evidence and evidence processing, we've seen concepts where the evidence is processed, where there's no pass-through from the booking area to evidence, as you see here, and there's other scenarios where there would be an evidence pass-through directly from booking into evidence processing. Do you have a preference?
Well, my reaction is that the way it's set up here is satisfactory. I don't think you'd need access from booking.
Okay.
You just carry the materials down and place them into the evidence drop-off. But what we would like to see, and it's tough to tell from the size of these plans, is in that evidence drop-off area.
So don't, not to interrupt you, you have.
Well, you
eight-
meant to interrupt me.
You should have 8.5 11s of all these rooms that we've stuck very
You're right,
close to.
I do.
So if you ever want to see a
So
blow for that.
So Okay, so you're sticking to the dimensions as true as you can?
It's very close, and I'll
Okay.
check those for you, like, we can recirculate them if we vary too much, but you always have those to fall back on.
So the evidence processing area that you have identified here, that would only be for the evidence officer? Because that's on the other side of the evidence drop-off, right?
Correct.
All right. So the officers themselves, at the point of evidence drop-off, would need an area with evidence badge, evidence tags, you know, that kind of stuff.
So, that
Is that-
area there in drop-off is gonna have a work table, and it can even get bigger.
A little counter there.
All
I
right.
don't wanna get too big,
All right,
but that'd be a
okay.
cabinet and a counter.
Okay, you answered my question. All right.
You envision in the pass-through with the refrigerator built into it too?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
You could, if you're looking for more space in evidence processing, Chief, you know, it looks like, Andy, you could move that evidence drop-off a little bit closer to your cell areas.
Yes.
Make that, you know, a
There's
little,
more room there if we want.
yeah, make that a little wider in there.
Question I had, your lobby/waiting room area is going to be monitored by your dispatch. Is that how you get it set up here? I see a window here. Is that how you envision this setup?
Yeah, so that would be all glass looking, you know, as soon as they come in. Dispatch and anyone at the main desk would be looking right at them.
You have a desk and a chair set up between the two. Is that just take up space, or is it, would it be better to slide the console down towards the glass better more, which would change, you know, some of the room layout maybe?
Well, wasn't there talk about having somebody at the main desk and then also, I mean, there was some discussion about what Debbie's role's gonna be, so.
Yeah, I
don't mean
remember.
Debbie per se, but I mean like whoever's in that
Yeah.
role, there was discussion, is she gonna be strictly an administrative assistant and then have somebody as backup in that office to do both, or are we
Yeah,
gonna
so,
double duty Deb?
yeah, so I think this may answer your question. If we ever had, let's say, a part-time secretary and the dispatch supervisor, the supervisor could probably work out of that records work area as his or her office, which has immediate access to dispatch. And then you'd have the additional administrative position at the doorway that provides access to the command staff. Does that answer your question? Or-
Sort of, I mean, I'm looking for somebody to be manning the main
Yeah,
desk
an active position.
and get rid of having the dispatchers do double duty, because that's kind of hard.
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, right now Debbie kind of helps out with that.
Right.
But, I
But
mean,
you want to keep Debbie in another
You're
position?
talking manning that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Not necessarily, no, probably just during more, like, regular business hours.
And then other hours, whoever's in dispatch would be trying to.
Right.
But that was one of the issues I had, is are you clearing the view of the dispatcher while they're in the dispatch station if you put something, or a person, not a person because they can
Oh,
monitor it,
sorry.
but if you put stuff in front of their view outside. Kind of like, I was thinking of the Somerset, Swansea setup, where the dispatch was a wall of glass, the dispatcher sat right on the other side and faced that way. So anybody who walked in, they could see it, they didn't have to staff a separate person.
so if you eliminated that main desk, that first position PSAP
Yeah.
would have easy visibility down
Right.
that main lobby.
Would it make
and
sense to slide that just a little forward?
You might do that, yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to interrupt the flow from the walk-in hall
Right.
here, but, you know, that was a question I had.
But to get back to what Lisa's saying, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to answer your question, because the dispatch supervisor has multiple
Right.
roles, you know. It's quite possible that once this is built, she'll be spending more time in that records area. And, I mean, it isn't, the way this is designed, it isn't very close proximity to the administration, so it would probably work. I don't know, I think we'd have to, it's gonna work either way with this design, yeah.
Plenty of room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
We just don't want to get in a situation where we have to hire additional staff to man a building that we're building.
no,
Instead of hiring additional staff, because we need additional staff.
no, but if we're going down the road and we're at a point that we want to, we wanna make sure we have the space available if we ever.
Yeah, I think we
I think
will.
we have plenty of space expansion space here.
That's a good design,
Yeah, so I think that there's gonna be a lot of glass there, it just comes down to logistically how you man it, I think.
The other thing is, and, you know, we'll revisit this, is the window between the status offender. You know, you wouldn't want somebody pounding on the window while the dispatchers are trying to handle a 911, et cetera. Another issue that former Detective Levesque brought up is the detectives' room. In many stations, as you've seen, the detectives have their own interview room.
Yes.
And that could work there, because you've also designed this other interview
Yeah, so I
room
figured this
that
one
the officers
is
could
shared,
use, yeah.
and this would be their own. This door goes into the hallway, but it could come right off.
Come out the office.
I just don't know, do you always want to bring someone through the detective's room to get into that room? Don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
But
if you didn't want to, you still have other options, but generally speaking, like, there's definitely, I can see times where I want somebody to be in the station as little as possible too. I don't necessarily want people walking by the hallway and stuff while they're in that.
You could have 2 doors too,
That's another option.
and you bring them in and you can leave them there, and then you guys come in from the detectives.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of the 2 doors, and I think that's what we're talking about, is I wanted to have the option of access from the office, not so much that it had to be access from the office.
If you need to go out and grab something in the office area,
Yeah.
you don't have to walk all the way around back in.
Okay.
I would also think that in your detective's office, you would probably have one of those stations that 1 or 2 people could monitor what was going on in the interview room in real time. So that typically, if you're interviewing somebody for a serious offense, there may be a New Bedford detective, might be other agencies involved, the state police, etc. They're gonna probably be watching that interview and taking notes. And at some point, the interview is suspended, the detectives confer, and then the interview is reinitiated. So you would need a spot for 1 or 2 people, probably in the detective area, or it could be outside where people are viewing that interview live, you know.
How about something between the wall, between the shared meeting room and the interrogation?
Well, I agree, Kelly, what if you move that, this in the corner and you put it up in the other corner, put a doorway in the shared meeting room on this side right here, so now you have access from the detective's room into the shared meeting room, and you would have that video, whatever, in that shared meeting room.
Could probably do that.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got, I mean, the nice thing about the way this is laid out is there's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, and I expected some conversation about the detective's office, so I chose that room I built some extra square footage in there to play with these interrogation rooms.
Nice.
You could actually,
Yeah, and this one, as you can see, this one here is the minimum size, and this one here is a little bigger. But this could push up, and this is a good sized room right here.
Something I've seen too is, not only is there a door from detectives into the interrogation room, but there's also a 2-way glass. That's, some departments like it, some don't. But if you move that work area that's next to the interrogation room, you could have a 2-way glass there where somebody could actually look in and see what's going on in that room. Whether someone's in there doing an interrogation or not, at least you have a peace of mind what that person's doing.
Well, yeah, you can actually do live IDs that way too. Yeah, I like that.
I've got a couple of thoughts. And unfortunately, we always have to think this way these days, especially with designing public safety facilities or schools. As much as I like the lobby and everything, I'm almost wondering if, this is just a thought, your dispatch is really charged with monitoring comings and goings from that lobby most of the time. And right now, we have a lot of blind spots in that lobby. So someone comes through the door and they're immediately able to get out of hiding. I know we're gonna have security cameras and everything else, but as beautiful as the layout is, I'm just wondering if we need to tighten it up and put the doors to eliminate the blind spots.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned, I was looking at that, and I was thinking the same thing. If you move the doors,
Up into the.
Right to the, so you
Right,
have a,
so now
so
there's
you're
no-
looking right down here. yeah.
right, and it could be buzzed open, et cetera, by dispatch as well.
Right.
Yeah,
I think you really only need to move up the door to the training room.
yeah,
Because the door's up by, you know, they give somebody more room to stand up by the main desk and you'd be able to see
Yeah.
those cubbies, you know.
And I also thought it'd be nice that someone can enter the interview room around this corner rather than right out here
Yes.
with the door open. If some other people are sitting and waiting, you can kind of take care of business on this side, right, instead of right in front of.
Yeah, I can certainly see the need for the training room one.
Yeah, that's a good point. If there's a way that we can get the emergency electric room, because we've kind of talked about switching some things around, if we can get that adjacent to the electric room, it'll save us on our,
Yeah,
some of our
I'm
condo
being
costs.
conservative with sizes yet, because I haven't started interfacing with the engineers.
Yeah, true.
So I'm sure I can compact a lot of these service areas like that, so I'm expecting to do that. I am. So, once we start interfacing with the engineers, we can really fine tune that space.
The armory location, is that okay with the department?
well,
Yeah, there was one question about the
Yeah.
material
The
of the
mater-
wall,
Yeah.
between, in case, God forbid, you get a loose round. We wouldn't want it going into dispatch.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Right now, yeah.
Should it be masonry, or should it
We
be?
certainly could do CMU block there, solid grounded.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, you'd have to have that. Sure.
It's out of the way, it's out of your flow. Generally, you're not going to most of your,
There's only gonna be a couple of people going into
Right,
the armory
yeah.
itself.
but the weapons clearing area,
Is right there.
cleaning is a high
That's gonna have to
potential.
be blocked in.
Yeah, that whole block should be.
Yeah, and we've also used a product that's less than an inch thick in areas that we've bulletproofed, that we put underneath the drywall, and the doors are made to be bulletproofed, and you can get it at all different levels, all different classes, and you just put that on before you drywall. We've done that
Well,
also.
maybe that's
That'd
the
probably be a good
cheapest.
We
idea.
put it up in sheets, and it's not fun to cut, but it's very effective.
very expensive too, but I think we'd probably be thinking about that for the lobby area too, because you wanna, that's the general public area that, general area where the public is free to come.
Right.
So we always look at trying to do some sort of protection, at least on the main desk wall, if not all the walls coming through. The status offender space, would it be the dispatch's responsibility to be monitoring them, or is it just a matter of convenience?
That could also be done with a camera, right, if you got rid of the window?
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy situation because you can't lock the status offender in the room.
Right.
So, for lack of a better term, you have to babysit them, so who's gonna watch them, et cetera. The officers writing the report, should it be in closer proximity to that, or is it better that the dispatchers watch, or, I don't.
A lot of times, depending on the volatility of the person, I'll get a
Yeah.
matron.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
true,
removed
Yeah.
that's
over
true
there.
too,
I
if we
use
can get a matron.
For juveniles usually, if they're not, basically a grown man. And, so at least usually most of my matrons are actually dispatchers too, so if they have to be off of there, we can figure something out.
The only problem with the layout, though, you can't get into the status offender room from dispatch until you go into the main hallway.
Right.
Mhm.
So if the door's not locked, they have access into the main hallway
Mhm.
that's unobstructed all the way into.
Yes, but
Yeah,
my
but it
understanding
doesn't have to
is
be
all
that
the,
way if you can't lock
yeah,
them in.
we can't lock them in, but.
Can't lock them in,
But the
right.
rest of there's controlled access to all the other rooms of the building anyway, so they're gonna be basically stuck
Well,
in
the
the
way it's
hallway.
laid out right now, we're roll calls not, vestibules to go outside.
Yeah,
using-
that was all gonna change, that's, I mean, look, yeah, sure, they can get out, that's always gonna be that way with them anyway. But,
There would be access control.
yeah, everything else is supposed to be
Well, my question's more, is maybe there should be a door between the dispatch, offenders, the status offenders and across to that general building storage area. So if they do go, they can only go out through the main lobby and can't penetrate into the heart of the building.
Would you bring the status offender in from the Sally Port?
Probably. Can't really think of how else I would do it, so yeah. But either way, like, even if I brought them in the staff door, it's still gonna come in from that side of the building.
Yeah.
So if we added another access point for the patrol officers to communicate with dispatch, we've got 2 access points into dispatch, 3 access points into dispatch, through records work, over by the lobby, and then at the patrol area. Could we eliminate one of them?
Well, we would only have, through the records,
Yep.
near the future elevator pit,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the area of the emergency electrical, we would have a counter.
Just
Wouldn't
a
it be a
counter, but not a
door?
walkway?
Yeah, we were hoping to just have like control, that way they could conduct business, but wouldn't be passing into the communications area.
Okay. Is there a concern with the breach of sound or anything like that?
I haven't really thought about that.
I mean, the break room's gonna be moved, so what type of sound would emanate on that side of
Not
the
much,
building?
Not much, I'm just thinking out loud.
But if
you
it,
know.
you know,
Do a Dutch door.
We had a little back and forth.
no, they're not gonna work.
Yeah.
Dutch door's open.
Yeah.
And make sure the counter's high enough.
I used to
They
close the
can't
top of
jump
it
over.
all the time. Just to be a jerk.
No.
Must've been when you were much younger, Ben.
Oh, must have been. Those days are far behind me.
Now
So,
he has trouble bending, need to get over the.
But it's a good point, you know, where should we put the status offender
Yeah.
room?
mhm.
Do we wanna move it toward the patrol side, where a supervisor or somebody writing a report can monitor it, or do we wanna leave it where it's more of the dispatch responsibility?
Can you change it with records work area?
just flip.
Just flip it, make records work be status office and status office be records work. Now you're closer to the detectives, but you're on the other side of the building, not so much.
I like that records flow between
Yeah.
admin and dispatch.
You might be better off, like, where that file room is maybe that spot.
I had that circle
File
as well.
room, yeah.
What's gonna go in that file room?
I assumed it was like the pigeonholes or something for,
Yeah, so we were envisioning that an officer will sometimes need to have materials, et cetera, that he's storing. It could be reference materials, handouts, et cetera. So there'd be file cabinets in there, you know, with,
Could you switch the status offender with that shared meeting room next to the interrogation room?
That was gonna serve the function that the chief talked about earlier,
Yeah.
for observing.
So I guess that's something we could just take
I
away
think
from
first we
this
have to
meeting.
decide is who we want them to be next to. I don't think we're still clear on that, is the problem.
Yeah, that's,
If you move the status offender down to where the patrolmen are, you're gonna keep the patrolman in off the street?
That's the
oh,
problem.
That's the
yeah, so
problem.
that's what I was saying before, like,
Well,
if
that's-
I'm dealing with a status offender, again, like, if it's a real, like, an actual juvenile, like, that's a kid, that's not a real problem, like, I'm gonna usually try to get a matron to come in, which is, it's cheaper, and, it's kind of a softer touch for the kids too, but, I mean, I don't know where I'm gonna put my matron anymore either, so I gotta try to figure that out too,
but if you can't get a matron,
so I have
and
to
the
use it.
parents are not, assuming there are parents that are
Right.
interested, somebody's gotta monitor.
Right, so
the
it's
status
gonna
offender.
have to be an officer.
Oh, the dispatch, if they're co-trained. That's one of the benefits of having it where it is.
Yeah, that might open up a whole other can of worms. I'm not disagreeing with you, but that may or may not work.
Could the dispatch be a civilian?
Yeah, our dispatchers are always civilians.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can really even do that commingle view, you know what I mean? If you have a status offender there, the civilian shouldn't know that they're there. I guess they would anyways, because they're dispatch.
Yeah, they should know that they're in there, but, I mean, some of this stuff is just, we're gonna have to work it out, just how we get used to the building. We're gonna have great
Right,
ideas right now, what
exactly.
we think, but we don't know how it's gonna be once we're actually living in it.
Yeah, if you have the space. then
Right.
it's flexible.
But I agree with you as far as like that, if I'm gonna move that, the first place that jumps out at me is where that file room is right now. And I don't know what I would do with the file room necessarily, but I guess that's less important than what I do with the status offenders.
Can't you swap them?
If you
What's
flip,
that?
if
You
you
could swap
flip
them,
them,
right?
Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing, I guess I could do that.
if you flip them, that would also stop, you could put that pass-through right there also.
Yes, they could make
Here.
that same room.
And then
with,
you wouldn't have to worry about that emergency
Yeah, do
election.
the file room, have the passer right in the file room.
Yeah, I think it's,
Oh, the pass-through from dispatch?
Yeah,
Yeah,
instead of eliminating that.
Well,
first
could you
election.
slide your armory down and slide those rooms up?
I think you want, a lot of those rooms you want to get to
separate
off the
entrance,
hallway,
yeah.
like the defib and the patrol storage. And if you can see the space, what you try to do to maintain efficiency, so your gross doesn't get too large, you can see that, you know, we can get into the armory space with one door. All these other rooms, it's 3 and 4 doors, which is conducive to being off a hallway. If we slide them up, now, we can't get to them. We can only get to one. I think, you know, I think it's simple. I think we just really have to figure out who's gonna watch them. And then we get them in that area.
Who would be storing in the file room?
The file room would be, in theory, all of the patrol officers would have their individual, well, not necessarily cabinets, but sections of,
There are pigeonholes there?
or stored.
Or file?
But is that something that if that wall gets bumped out in the report room, is that
That's
something that?
exactly what I'm
can-
thinking.
Yeah.
You're making a bigger report room, you put the files in the report room. Bring that wall right out to the thing.
And then maybe just keep those 2 rooms as flexible.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Per se. This is good, like this, what I like about this, as you have right now, it's really easy to move things around and stuff, that's nice.
Yeah, so I think that last suggestion, by bumping out that,
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
that wall, now creates space in that report prep area for files, and then it gives you the option of moving the status offender to where the file room is.
You've actually opened up, you've got an extra
Extra.
100 square feet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, one of the things that probably get too early to be thinking about, but in the dispatch center, we're gonna have our security monitors, and we'll most likely have 3 of them at least. And they're gonna wanna be mounted in a location that cannot be visible, that has to be visible by the dispatchers, but not be visible by the public through the front window.
Right.
So, at some point, we're gonna need to think about how and where we
You
locate
usually
those.
see a lot like over the window, facing
Over the
back in.
window.
Yeah, you'd be able to soften it up above the main desk.
And if that's visible from the farthest dispatcher or not,
Right.
is where I was gonna go with that. So we'll have to think about that as we start laying this out.
Is there a property pass-through on the wall to the lobby, like by where the main desk is? Is that something you thought about? What's that?
There's a wall from the phone.
Yeah, it's a lot, I mean, so you could exchange property between the lobby and the,
One idea that's been tossed around is that we're gonna reuse what's in the station now, is that correct?
What do you have now?
That glass?
I don't, yeah, but I just, we
It would
we
be
open up the
underneath that
door.
glass, you know what I mean? So Typically, it's
Exactly.
like a stainless
Like
steel.
Swansea,
It's like, it's a tray, it's a slide tray.
It could be, yeah, there's
we don't,
a,
yeah, we don't have a slide chair right now. We just got a little thing that goes, that little bit that goes under it. But like we have stuff like, so if the lieutenant's returning property to somebody that we had that was safekeeping, or something that when they get arrested it was too big to go to a house of correction with them, we have to return it to somebody. They come in the lobby, we can pass it through that wall,
Yes.
as opposed to have go out in the lobby
Yes,
and all this. So that's
absolutely.
that's what I'm thinking.
it's really whatever you want. It could be a dip tray, it
Yeah.
could be a drawer that slides open, it's open on one side when it's closed, and
Yep.
then put things in it. It could be, you know, the glass itself could be bullet resistant glass, and you have it closed all the time, it's locked, and if you have to take bigger things, it slides open. So it's really whatever the department wants,
Okay.
could work there.
But you want the ability to be able to transact.
Right, right at that window.
Yeah.
We've had the slide in the past, not a good way to go.
Yeah.
It's usually left open.
I think one of the things
It
is,
defeats the whole security.
Oh, yeah, sure.
you know.
so I think like Swansea, I think they have like the box that's in the wall, so they
Like a
get
drawer.
door on
It's
each
a
side.
drawer that
Yeah.
you
Put
So
it
it's
in
just
and you
two
get out
control
from the other
doors.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the best way to go.
So can we go to the Sallyport area?
Yes.
Because we have the vehicle detention, or the vehicle evidence storage area above, you can get by with one Sallyport bay. Ambulance comes in. What I like about this design is that the intox area door, a lot of times what you see in the design is that intox area door is so close to the ambulance, and when you have your gurney and everything else, you can't maneuver around. Here, you have enough room to work off the back of the ambulance and still get in and out of that intox door.
We
with
used the
gurney
size of a
fees.
gurney.
You did?
Yeah, we did, yep.
So it looks good. It's clean. There wouldn't be anything else stored in here at all. Everything would be in the other storage areas. And 12 by 12 doors?
Yes, that's what I'm showing.
In that decon area, is that a shower? That,
Yeah, right, yes, I'm showing like a combination of
Okay.
everything. You know, it's gonna be whatever they want in the end, but yes, that's
Yeah.
what I'm showing now.
and then that custodial room, that could probably be shrunk down.
Which one, the one up top there?
Next to decon.
In,
Next to decon.
detention.
Oh, yes, yep. Yeah, I like to leave a room like that with some flexible space, and if people have some ideas,
Yeah.
I can push, and I still got a little floating, yep.
Yeah, so supplies typically in the holding facility are spit masks, blankets, first aid kits,
Couple of rolls of toilet paper.
handcuffing, chain,
stuff.
you know, all of those things. Breathalyzer materials. So we would obviously need storage for that.
I like that temp holding area, Andy, where you don't have to bring them all the way into processing. I guess they could be handcuffed to that bench right there when they first come in.
Yep,
If you have multiple,
yep.
bring in one to process and go back.
So you're looking at like having a window there
Yeah.
to
you
do the
can still-
process
yes,
right through there?
And that guy
Like
can look
that.
right in.
Yeah, I like
Yep,
that.
exactly.
Could you rotate the seats 90 degrees and put them against that back wall so that the processor has a view of all of the
I would think
phases?
so, yeah.
Actually, no, just do a concrete bench right across the back of that wall
Yeah.
with a bar.
And you're doing the vestibule style cell design, so you can,
They're all
any
sight
one
and
cell
sound
can be
secured,
used
yeah.
for any purpose.
Separated.
And then the release area, the prisoner release is away from, if you look at the site plan,
Yeah, it goes to that
good thing
overflow
about it.
parking.
Yeah, it's away from your
prisoner release
cruisers.
is away from the PD operations parking, which is good. So you're basically releasing here, all the PD is in here, and you're releasing over here. So anybody that's picking them up can be parking overflow parking, and, which is nice. First thing they want to do when they leave that is take it out on the cruiser.
Yeah, come on. Come back to my car.
Bring it right back in.
You
Now
wanna
they just
come
fall
see
off the
Daddy
stone wall.
Yeah.
I think that's
Wanna move
Wanna-
to the
wanna
attic?
go up the attic? So,
And one thing, I'm sorry,
Yep.
the stair left of the dispatch
yes,
has a mid-landing exit door,
yes. Well,
which,
no, I have enough risers so you walk under the landing and right out. Is that what you get?
oh, okay.
So it's unbalanced.
Understood,
Yeah.
understood, okay, gotcha.
You got, it's like,
Yep.
it's almost 8 feet at the
I
landing.
gotcha, perfect.
So, speaking of the stairs, so up to the attic level, you go in this door and you either can walk straight out, or you can go up the stairs and go up into the attic, and if you flip to the attic plan, you can see where you land. Let me switch the screen. So here's the attic level. Again, this dimension line here shows where the concrete construction would take place. This would be the detention and processing area in Sallyport, would all be built out of concrete. So, as you saw in the site plan, when you drive around from the high grade, you could have a vehicle impound and then a whole nother garage stall over here, and some maintenance storage closets, and then locating the fitness room over the detention area on the concrete construction. So it'd be a very good separation from everything else. If you did come up the stairs, you'd enter into here, and what I did is I kind of formed a lock here where, say someone's coming up to service the mechanicals or the IT equipment, they could come in that stair door, come up, and not have access in to the other spaces unless they were given access. So that's how I designed that. So very clear what a vendor would do if he was to go up and to work on any mechanical equipment through here, or IT equipment. So this is all the IT room now, right here, this L shape here. IT workroom, and then the equipment, and the server area here, it's right above dispatch, that area. I got a record archives up here. The mechanical room over here. Again, quick access off the stairs. This is showing where that elevator shaft would land, this dashed area over here. So if you ever did that, you would extend the hallway to pick up the elevator. Getting back here, I now have the female locker and the male locker closer to the fitness room, and that would be what the spaces would be up here. Any garage storage, which is hiding behind Ben's hand right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Then fitness, locker rooms, IT server, IT workroom, storage, like archive storage, mechanicals, and then all this is future expansion or storage. And I'm showing a roof where this is where the optional cruiser port roof would go, right here. You would only need one stairs because we can form another emergency exit out here, which would come right out to grade. Or you could go down this stair, which would be fire rated, come in. And here's all your future expansion out in here.
How much square footage represents the unused space?
So it's approximately, if you, until we have the roof slopes defined perfectly, you can see, if you look down here, I broke out the square footage, you'd have about 7,500 with full headroom for future expansion.
That's pretty good.
And you've got about 3,000 of program space up there.
That's a lot of area.
What kind of roof would you picture with this, a hip
I-
roof style, or?
I did that.
Okay.
I'll show it to you.
Look how excited he is.
So some of the concerns about vehicles on the second floor would be what keeps them from, driving through and coming down the non-support,
Yeah.
Right.
Also, remember, a vehicle is inherently a fire hazard.
Yeah. So all the, everybody parks a vehicle in their house, really.
Yeah.
All the same issues, and, you'd put curves, you'd have a masonry curve. Those rooms are always rated. In houses, they're rated for 20 minutes. In commercial, they're rated for at least an hour or 2 hours, and stuff like that.
We could put some concrete, the retaining barriers, the round
Yes.
retaining barriers, so you couldn't drive through. Isn't that, you're all masonry below, so.
Yeah, we could bring that reinforced wall right up, and we could stop. You could even put a Jersey barrier back there, right back there, so they would hit the barrier the other way.
What about drainage? Would you drain, how would you do drainage with that?
Yeah, you'd have, you know, the.
Floor drains, I'm talking about.
Yeah, so, of course, the floors would pitch out towards the overhead, so if you come in with snow and whatnot, that's gonna go right out. And, we'd have to have some kind of drain, either immediately outside the garage and pitch the floor that way, or in the garage and then have a gas oil separator.
That was my question, more gas and oil separation.
You're gonna have to do that anyway where you put
We'd have to go to a tight tank.
a door. You're gonna have those no matter what. You'd have to
You'd
put
have the
one.
plumbing space though for that?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
You put that in the mezzanine between the two?
Yeah, the space between it, yes. Yep.
Chief, does the department have an issue with the vehicles being up at that level?
Well, we did, but they seem to
Kind
have
of
been.
answers for
Okay.
it.
And if you don't like that, we'd look into the, I'm still developing that scheme for you, which, we're gonna develop that other auxiliary building right along and get an associated cost to it.
Okay.
And we can do all the comparisons as we go. So I'm not writing that other vehicle off, I just think because of the site, this makes a lot of sense, and we can't address all the concerns you had.
Yeah, as I look at the site map, heavy snow, you would probably be driving a plow through the Sally Port to move the snow out the other way. Is that,
Or, you know, you'd open it, it's wide enough so you get your plow in there and push out that way and push out the other.
because of the retaining wall, you know what I mean? The
Yeah,
snow
so-
might accumulate.
So
And there's no way to put it over here, other
Well, I would
than to
think you'd
push it
keep
down.
going and push it,
Yeah.
or, as, and that's a very good point, pulling that retaining wall 10 feet back into the bank is no problem either, just to have room
Snow
for snow.
storage area?
You're not really doing anything, you know, so, as we develop the site, those are gonna be very good points.
Okay.
And one other thing we talked about too was where the drive-in is. I don't know if like you think about like if you getting deliveries over there, should we have a slightly larger area that you can turn a vehicle around?
Yes, so right now, you know, you could come up and back and go, but, you know, we could make it so that you could loop right around. We can develop the site with all those schemes, and I think, you know, we'll have a lot of discussion as that goes on. So you can do that. You know, this is a concept, and we'll pursue all these ideas like we're talking about.
Where are you talking, Ben? Off the Sally?
So yeah, where the drive-in, yeah. So
The upper level?
Yeah.
Yeah, the upper level,
Yeah.
where
Yeah, so you
the
can
roll-up
kinda
doors
see
are.
if you-
So if you can like turn around a UPS truck there, it's just something like that, you can get a lot of.
Because you wouldn't want the, making deliveries through, have to go through and lock up and all that stuff.
Right, so you want to
Deliveries,
take advantage of those roll-up doors associated with some of the larger
Right.
stuff when you're doing the deliveries.
Right.
What
Yeah.
type of deliveries?
Well, sometimes we get like, you know, giant boxes of stuff for
Office supplies
yeah, to
and-
fill up the, like the canine vehicle, right? We get like the whole compartment for that. It comes in giant boxes, they're heavy as anything, so, you know, you hand truck them in and they take up a ton of space everywhere else. At least you have the ability to get them into that larger door, just take advantage
Chief,
of that.
is there an
for
extra
those
site
types of
plan down that end? There were some extra plans, but that's an existing, that, Commonwealth Center.
I think some of your deliveries, you're gonna wanna come through the overflow
things.
plot
Yeah,
parking.
yeah. No, I
It's
know
all
like,
one
'cause
level,
that's
you're
straight
not-
in, if you're doing like, you know, WB Mason
There
paper,
should
you're
be
gonna
some
do it
extra
from
ones
there.
somewhere. I don't wanna take
I guess it depends on
Alright.
it.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Right here?
I'm okay. I'm okay. So a lot of flexibility up here.
Yeah.
So, from an operational perspective, having the locker rooms and the fitness areas and things, this is a great way to save square footage in the overall building, but it's not ideal because you kind of like to be all on the same floor in close proximity to one another. But is there a better location for the stairs so that you could tie your operations together? The stair is in a good location.
So if we move the stairs, you're gonna be cutting right down the middle of something.
Right.
Patrol, investigative, or admin or something. I think that, you know, my thinking was, that's a pretty good thing to put somewhere, you know, get the other
At
relationships
least
down,
valuable
and then
real
that way,
estate, yeah.
and it's not a far walk away, that was my thinking.
So when an officer comes in, the first thing they would do is, I'm assuming they would come in, go to the locker room and change. So we're coming in the lower, by the carport area, going in, the stair is within, 20 feet anyways, it looks like.
Yes.
Then we're upstairs, we have the female locker, the male locker, you do fitness, and then you're back down the stairs and you're within 20 feet of your heart of your operation,
Right.
roll call. You've also got that connection to dispatch off that same hallway where you have a shelf or something like that. It becomes a little bit more active in that area.
Just because we went through the first floor too, I'll just something that I saw on the second floor. Is there any way to turn how you would access the showers? I'm just thinking about any guys that have their lockers right there. People getting out of the shower and the carpet's wet or floor is wet, in front of their locker all the time. If maybe we get some sort of, a partition there, flip everything so that you almost have all your wet stuff on one side of the wall and have, your locker room kind of separated from that stuff. Just a thought.
Right.
So,
Those 4 lockers aren't too desirable.
yeah.
I
but-
wouldn't want
Junior
one.
lockers. Hey, will you hand me the soap?
So, that's a good point. I just think that, you also can look at how many lockers you get before those are even used. And I think, those could even go away and that could become a dressing area.
It could, yeah, just a thought.
Yeah, so, if those lockers were used, we'd probably be looking at expansion by that point into these other unfinished areas. So, I think the point is, to make maybe a better changing area in.
What do you have, how many lockers do you have now, do you have any idea?
Oh, I used to know, but if you just count those ones along the wall.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you knew
1,
off the
2,
top of your
3,
head.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 26, if they were full height on the floor.
Plus you have that expansion area. Or did you count that? The dotted
I did
area?
not count that. How many would you need right off the bat?
Well, we have 17, 18 patrol officers, including the lieutenant,
All the reserves too.
probably up to 10 reserves. So about 27, 28 lockers.
So,
I think you're showing 24 here.
well, we need the reserve area.
There you go.
Yeah, take that row and put it into that
Yeah.
dotted out area for now.
Yep.
So would 30, 31, 32 be, where would you want to be for kind of expansion-wise? To have that, right now you're at 28.
Around 30, 31 lockers, I think. I don't envision us having more than 10 reserves. I mean, we fluctuate anywhere from 6, 7, 8 reserves, so let's say.
I mean, realistically, you could move to, lieutenant could have his locker in his office.
Yeah.
He's got a separate office to himself if we had to.
And we'll have a couple of female officers.
How many do you
Yeah,
have
so
now,
that's the
female?
other thing
That's
too,
what
is
we
that
have
right
in the
now,
locker room.
our females are in with us,
Mhm.
so that's getting split off too now, so that.
How many do you have now?
Well, we have, right now we have one auxiliary and one part-time.
So, yeah, 2.
Right now you have 6 female lockers counted for, so you can take 2, 1 really out of the
Yeah, so.
male side. So you count still though, you're still around 30. For room
Yeah.
for future expansion. Your reserves have full-time lockers, even though there's no transient lockers, that they share lockers or anything like that?
No.
If they have assigned lockers.
They have assigned lockers.
Yeah, you just want to make sure you have that expansion because we have such a great opportunity
Right.
That's 7,500 square feet that you ever need to expand, you have the
Exactly.
place to expand the manpower too.
That vestibule set up on the
You know,
main locker room, can that be
maybe
split?
the
female
female,
locker room?
yeah, maybe the female can come across the hall,
That's what I was.
and we can leave that for expansion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Incorporate the female
What?
locker room, male locker room into the.
What?
Well, the female would also be able to expand too, because now they're out
Yeah.
in the
Right,
open.
they'd be crossing.
put it
each
over
other.
here.
Just put it across the hall instead of being over there.
And it would be closer to the fitness room at that point.
Exactly.
You're gonna expand the male locker room into the female space also? Just make it one, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so basically
put the
move the
female
female into
Right.
future
And then-
expansion.
Slide all that up.
Yeah, or just leave the male where it is, and that's just storage that could.
Well, if you short locker space, just include the female locker into the male locker room
Exactly,
area.
yeah.
And put the female.
And then the female can
On the
become
other
as
side of
big
the
as we
hallway.
want it on the other
You
side.
can, right, plenty of room for expansion on that side too.
Yeah, and then you can play with your bathrooms any way, it gives you a lot of room actually.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea.
I mean, that's a lot of extra room actually. Your fitness room could become bigger too.
Do we have a list of the fitness equipment that would be
No,
desirable for that?
How big is that room, the fitness room?
That fitness room is, what's 16 times 1.5? That would be 24 by 24? 24 by 24 approximately.
That would be a nice study to look and see exactly what you'd like to put in there.
Yeah.
This is about 20 feet, this room
It's
from
not
here.
talking to me yet.
Yeah, you
Probably about that.
probably want to put somebody in charge of that.
That one over there.
Phil, you got Phil?
Pick it out,
Yeah.
the equipment that you'd want for that room. 'Cause the designers will need to know the
Okay.
power requirements, things like that,
Very
to get into those areas.
You're just thinking plates, barbells, or are you thinking machines as far as racks, or are you thinking,
I'm thinking, like, I'd want as many more free weights than,
right, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too, so
Yeah.
a row of the barbells,
yeah, maybe like a cable station.
cable station, flat bench,
All
bars.
rack.
Well, if the
with the
chief's gonna be
rack,
squatting in there, you'll need a good 1,000 pounds for free weights.
Easy.
But you're also
Once he
thinking
once he gets over his couch.
elliptical,
Yeah.
rower,
Yeah.
and tread.
So, when you're thinking about the laying out of this, could the fitness room be right off of the hallway without a partition or a door? So in other words, could it be a working area? Because there's really nothing else happening up here. It's a way to open it up a little bit. You've got a long corridor there. It's very similar to what Andy was looking at down at roll call, which is some departments like closed-in roll calls, some like the open to the hallway. But you might be able to take that concept upstairs. I don't know.
Well, I think that could work this way. We could get rid of this wall and that door, but maybe then add a door here, just to keep sound and whatnot from going through.
Oh,
But then
yeah.
this could just flow into all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how many people are up in that room, it's gonna get hot, it's gonna get sweaty.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna, you know what I mean, so you're better off having as much ventilation and opening that wall.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's, by itself, it's up there, so.
Everybody knows when you walk into
Okay.
a gym, it's all open, it's not like you have a
Yeah.
separate room
Yeah.
for everything,
Yeah, I can't
so-
think of any reason why it has to
Yeah.
have.
Barnstable has theirs wide open. The locker rooms are set up, when you go back into the police area, it's quite extensive. They got like a 200-man department or something like that. But they have their gym wide open, and it does work out better.
Yeah.
What if you took and put the fitness room on this side, and then you bring down the male locker room and make the female locker room?
I want the
bigger?
fitness room over detention because of the pound and
Oh,
noise.
Somebody drops a
When
weight.
they
Somebody
drop-
drops the weights.
Well, even if you just,
Yeah, no, it'll be,
yeah.
You don't have
All
to
right.
walk
a
down
lot
the
of
hallway.
vibration.
Especially if you
stuff.
dropped 1,000 pounds.
Oh, yeah. He's an animal. He gets
Especially with a
going.
1,000-pound deadlift.
It may get too long, that's one of the things, but Lisa had a great suggestion, if it could work, could you actually, if you had the fitness center between the female and male lockers, then you had an access into the fitness room directly from the locker room?
So, I've seen some of those schemes, but, I don't think that's the best thing either. If you're in a locker room and then that door opens and because you gotta take a lot of space, almost like a blind
Yeah,
entry.
you're gonna make that
Blind
the vestibule
Yeah,
type
so,
thing.
you know, I've seen layouts like that, I just don't think it's worth it, for what you get. It doesn't matter, get dressed, walk out into the hall and go in. And I like this idea, this gives total expansion to both female and male.
Yeah, it
By
does.
moving,
switching
so
around,
if you were to hire 10 women, you could just pop that room right out, what, you know, the amount of time it takes you to hire an architect, a contractor, and get a permit, you don't have to dig in the ground.
Yeah.
I like having that flexibility because I don't think your fitness room will grow. It'd be the lockers, or the locker room. So I'll work that around.
So what is this gross square footage? Do you have a calculation for that?
Yeah, so we're
Oh,
down,
here it is. I see
the
it.
first floor is 13,499, gross down there. And up top, we have about just under 3,000 of program space. And then you have all the extra space outside, then you have extra garage space, and we brought the auxiliary space up into there. So right now, if you, gross, if I just calculate all, you take that 13.5, you're about, what, 17 of program space? That's where we're at, with a fitness room and a locker room.
And how does that compare to the program?
I think it's, right now, it's around, I think we're like 400 to 500 square feet larger, and I think it came up because of the stairs and the room I left for the elevator. I think if I was to take that out, I'd be dead nuts on the target program.
Are we gonna have a estimate for the special town meeting? Is that the plan to go before the taxpayers for?
No, we're not ready for that.
Okay, so
No.
that's not on this
No, that's
special?
good, that'll be a separate meeting,
Okay,
and when we iron down, this is
all
we're
right.
still.
I was just wondering, because I'm thinking,
No.
all right, all right, that makes
No.
sense.
There will be an estimate coming, but not for your
Yeah,
town
okay,
meetings.
because what is it, October something? I saw
The
an
second,
email.
third week in October.
Okay, so it's not, has nothing to do
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
it.
we'll be ready for that. So Andy,
We're close.
you've
but
spent a
not-
lot of time on this. Where are the, if you were told that you needed to cut square footage out of here?
Yeah, well, you know, so I think the first floor layout is pretty efficient. I think I could, even if you take this area, which is 100 feet wide, say even compressed it by 4 feet across that middle when I redrew it,
Yeah.
and find that 4 feet, that's 400 right off the top. So I'm thinking just by the redraw and tightening up, I can get another 500 right off the top, and that's what I'd like to start doing when, you know, this is one step off a schematic diagram,
Right.
but I do have all the exterior walls, thickness, the hallways, got more storage than we need. So I think my next crack around, I want to tighten it up by 500 right off the bat.
I agree, I think 16.5 sounds a lot better than 17, you know.
And I can do it, I know I can.
Well, I think 15.5 would sound even
Yeah, it
better.
does. But I'm saying,
sound
we're
Well,
working in
well,
increments then.
What gets a little abstract is that second floor, because you do have to have the stair and a hallway to get to it. So you're gonna give, your square footage is gonna creep up a little there though, but I think that square footage can come in at half the price than if you were building another roof and another foundation up top. So I think that's gonna help to equal out, even though we might have a couple extra 100 square feet of circulation, both vertical and horizontal.
I also think it's a good selling point because it's, I don't want to say cheaper, but it's less expensive construction at that point too.
Yes.
So we're getting more value out of the attic than we would a one floor.
And that also has a large meeting room, by the way, for 70 person. It's set up as a 40-man training room there, but that you switch the seating around, that becomes a 7. And I did design those roofs so that you could pull that back in if you didn't want to go that route.
Okay, so we would be scrunching in this line and this line?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, just pull that right in.
Okay.
So that is with the big, that's with the 70 person. It's set up as a meeting room there, but if you had a big, a training room, if you had a big meeting, the tables would go in one chair.
Yeah, you could,
And I think we gave you those different setups. we drew them right in the room data sheet, set up different ways.
What's the width of the lobby right now? About 10 feet?
No, it's bigger, it's, I'll tell you exactly, it's about 12. Yep.
I suppose you could go narrower, but then it just becomes a,
Hallway, yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta look at a space, not only what its width is, but what its length is and how that space is gonna feel. And then with a 9-foot ceiling, I think the proportions are okay if we start to get it more narrow. I think I can, like I said, if I crunch 4 feet that way, I can pick 400 up without even changing our rooms or whatnot. And the upstairs is abstract because, you know, we've added the stair to get up there, and then you got longer hallways and whatnot. But again, the efficiencies kick in. So it's going to take us a little more study to quantify what those efficiencies are buying us, but that opportunity is there, and I think it's a good one, especially with the future expansion it's going to afford you. And, you know, I even heard that, you know, maybe the fitness room would come a little bit in the future, and there it's, the space is just waiting for you, and it's out of the way, so you're not walking through an unfinished room every day, but if you had to unfinish a space, I heard it would be that space there.
Yeah, and I think that's what they did, was it Swansea at first?
Yeah, because we're thinking that like the association have to pick up, you know, supplying the room anyway, so.
So it's enough out of the way where it's not an eyesore or a liability.
I'd still definitely make sure you get the flooring and the mirrors or whatever else you need in there, but the equipment pieces themselves, you can buy those as you go if you want to.
could, the detective's space right now is to accommodate 3. Do we have a need to accommodate more at some time, or is that pretty much?
I think that'd be pretty much.
Can't imagine it being
The
more.
detective room, in my final draw, I'm gonna make it a little small. What happened was,
Pretty big, yeah.
this space got determined by this side, and I let this grow. Because I didn't know, I thought that we might play with the interrogation rooms, so I wanted a little flexibility going that way, but that's where part of the 4 feet would come out.
Yeah, if you compare it like the patrol sergeant.
Well, we could always,
Accommodating
It's
5.
oversized.
Accent
Yeah,
construction.
it's oversized. But I wanna compress
Yeah.
the whole building in that
We-
dimension.
you could always
Right
take
across
one of
the
these
board.
other rooms, like the quartermaster storage. You could move those storage materials upstairs and have that for specialized.
So, I'm just gonna give you my opinions on it, I've never been afraid to do that. I like the flow, this is a difficult site to accommodate a building and to keep separate functions, because you could put a commercial building here and you're only worried about one parking lot. But here you're worried about not only the public, overflow public, and then a secure area for the department and a release area. You've got a slope site and you're trying to accommodate 2 stories. So I think from a flow perspective, it works pretty good. You know, where your public's coming in, you've got secure areas in the back. I don't know if there's much you would do differently. You know, because you need that drive-through Sally Port. You need the secure area. You want to access the top. I can't think of a different way to attack it, Andy.
Yeah, but I can do some tightening up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd need a retaining wall for that drive up behind that retaining wall
Where it?
here? Do you think you'd need anything back here, on the back side?
No,
back
no,
side?
no, that'll be nice.
You could just do it
Nope,
right.
those are the only ones you need. Bill, I did, I made a 3-dimensional model of the site, which I can show you. It'll give you a good feel of how the grades work. I'll show that to you in a while.
I think everybody's happy with the concept, right? It's just tightening up some of the rooms, changing them around so the program works better, correct?
Yeah.
All right, good.
So Andy, at some point, you're going to be asking for approval of your schematic design. And do you think that would come at the next meeting, or?
I would hope to. Let's look at some massing, and you can
Okay.
see, I want to give them an idea where I'm going with the form. so they're not just reacting to a floor plan. But I got 4 different views there,
Yep, I've got them separated for you.
and then I did like a one-point perspective of the facade, my image of your police facade.
Go that way, but take this out.
Oh, did we,
Yep.
I thought they were,
No, this,
so those were all different things?
Yeah, there's 4 different views.
Oh,
I've got
bring
them
those back.
separated.
Yeah.
Bring that back and we'll give a packet. It's a packet.
Oh, you make
No,
a
no,
package?
I've already separated, so I'm gonna hand them out one view at a
Okay.
time.
Oh,
I
okay,
need-
all right. So we're back to Lisa.
I thought it was a packet.
Nope. So that's one group, that's looking northeast. This is looking southeast.
These solar panels you have on this roof?
Yeah, you see him?
I like it.
Yeah, and due south.
That was one of the things, that was one of the things that was.
You got a plan from the beginning, it can't be an afterthought.
I know. I like
This
it.
is going,
It's a wonderful thing.
this is going southwest.
I like this layout even more now that I'm seeing it 3D.
A lot of roof.
Yeah, because of the detention area.
Must be a rich community, that should be.
Going southwest.
Whoop, I'm sorry, I kept
And
that.
then we have one. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of this, so I think I got it separated properly.
You should have 4 different views. Southwest, southeast,
We need one more.
northeast, and northwest.
I was multitasking over here while you were talking. I was listening to you too, so.
I know you were.
North, south.
All the way around.
You have
Want the rendering at the same time?
You're gonna have them all now.
Well, I think we got them all, right?
Yeah.
I got a
Southwest?
I got a southwest. South,
Yeah,
yeah, we got them all.
That's northwest.
Nice heavy stuff.
Yes.
Luxurious.
So let's start with that front perspective, because that's my image. What I think is that, I think that the police station here on the corner of Memorial Drive and Chase should have, a smaller scale, no tall walls and whatnot, but should have a strong formality to it, and a strong access, and a strong rhythm out on the facade, with a very traditional look, and that's what I've tried to develop here. You can see this is taken, if you look at your site plan, you know the walk that goes out to the flagpole and then to Memorial Park? This is somebody who's standing right at the, right where the walk meets the parking lot, looking back at the building. You can see some scaled figures in here to give it some size. But, so here's that strong access as you walk into the building, the public access. A very traditional, classically proportioned portico coming off the front. I'm showing the town seal here in the round. This would be that vestibule done in glass under the shade. And then to the right would be that public meeting room. To the left would be the command administration. And what I'm developing here is, instead of maybe the whole facade being masonry, maybe we could do these strong classical masonry pilasters with some real police lamps on the outside there. The 2 flanking the doors in blue, and the other one's in white. Or in New York, they're always green, right? But anyways, there'd be exterior wall lights on each masonry pier, and a very strong, balanced rhythm. And in the front here, I'm showing transom windows above with grills, so that in the meeting room and in the command administration, you would have your standard window and another transom above, which it gives a nice proportion to the height of the ceilings, which relate to the height of the wall plates outside, rather than having a long space.
What are your projected ceiling heights?
Typically around 9.4
9 foot?
in a building like this, right around 9.4. So that's my image. What you're seeing in the back would be that auxiliary building, if we chose to develop it, where it would sit on the site plan. That's what you're seeing poking out in the back. So this is my image, and not only is it an image, it does relate to the massing that I developed. I developed a broad lower slope roof. It's only a 5-pitch. So the roof's very simple. It's a big 5-pitch that you'll see as we navigate around the building. It's a big 5-pitch, and these are those expandable roofs. See the ridge here? This could get pulled in to make, and then it would become the size we originally talked about, and wouldn't be the 70-person anymore. That would certainly just get pulled right in. Here I'm just showing return hips, so that's a much better look for a building like this than having just a rake board right there.
So if you pulled in the wall for the community room,
Right.
for the training room on one side, then does it create an imbalance to your front?
No, it creates non-symmetry, but not imbalance. I'll always find balance. You don't always have to have symmetry, but you do have to have balance.
So would you go to the next column?
Like,
The pilasters?
what's that?
Would you bring it to the next pilasters?
Yeah, you can see that one sets up on that corner.
Okay.
It would this
Yep.
bay would simply go away.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on to the axons that take you around the building, and you can really see how the building, the
Just
mass and...
a quick question on
Sure.
this, Andy. Obviously, you do have a lot of roof line here. Did you look at it with maybe any dormers up here, or, to get light up in the
You
attic?
don't need, dormers are a pain. It's where ice dams happen. It's a bad connection. It costs a lot of money. It breaks it. I don't think you need it, because you're gonna bring a lot of light in through these big gables.
Mhm.
And I think we can get the look we're looking for. I like the classical, this portico is, the proportions are all developed along the classical orders, very in proportion.
What about this space in between on either side in here?
What's that?
It looks, what about this space on either side of the main door in here? What is that for? Is that a doorway or?
Yeah, that's just this wall coming through. This isn't the same plane as that.
It's all just wall.
That's all one plane coming back. This is all one plane right here, and the pilasters come forward.
What happens to the water that comes off that roof, on either one of those small roofs?
They go into a gutter, just like they would anywhere else. The gutter would start here and go on.
Is that front dome,
This is forward.
Push over.
What's that?
is that front dome a push out, is that functional, or is that just an attachment onto it, is that a facade?
This
The
this one covers the vestibule.
no, that one.
Yeah, this one here, it gives
Is that
a
functional?
lot of
to-
room in the second floor.
So that is functional to the second floor, that's not
Yes.
just a build-on?
Yes, exactly.
That's just fascia?
Yes.
So you could actually put a window there
Yeah,
if you
good
wanted to
thought.
let some
You
an
could.
octagon window or something to let front,
You could,
to,
yes.
to your point.
Yeah.
So mine are getting washed out with the lights on. They read all right. These views, I have to shut the lights off up here.
Or, the rendering ones you had are the same ones, right? Pretty
Yeah,
close.
there's only two though. So
Oh.
this is a good one to look at. But if you could shut the lights off, this might be a good way to look at these anyway.
Yeah, but then I'm not gonna be able to see anything. My camera's not gonna be able to see anything.
How about the backlight over there?
How much
Is that-
control?
I think it's the second switch. Chief, see how it looks like?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope.
I'm in darkness now.
Yeah.
We all look better.
You could leave that one on behind and shut this one off. And that, she may have enough
I
light.
think, do you see this one good enough?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think you can see it good enough, Paul.
This is basically your southwest view.
Southwest. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see?
That's good.
You can't see?
Yeah, can you turn it back on? Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So here you're seeing, this is Memorial Drive, here's Chase Road. Memorial Park would be over here. is that flagpole garden area I developed on the access into the building. That front perspective was, somebody would be standing here looking back at the building. So the basic massing of the building is a broad gable right here. And this broad gable is one plane all across here with an intersecting gable in the front that the portico backs up into. These are columns for the classical portico, and these are engaged pilasters that I've turned the corner with. This is commanded administration, and over here is the EOC, and you can see how this ridge can either grow or subtract without even affecting the other building. The bump out back here, that would be the patrol's office, and this flat roof over here, or low slope, is the carport that would be over the cruisers. Back here is the sally port, so you'd come and you turn in here, turn in, come into the sally port, and drive out that way. Here's our two pinwheel retaining walls, and you can see how that works, and you can start to get a feel for how the grade would work and how much room you have there. If you wanted to drive up to the back, you'd come in here, drive up, pull in, and then back out, like that. Here is visitor parking, staff parking, overflow. This is due south, so you can see the reflective material would be a great opportunity for your photovoltaic solar panels, also a plane on the upper impound garage area. That's another view I rendered too, I think.
You could put,
There's looking back at the sally port and the solar panels.
you could put them on the sally port as well. I mean, excuse me, the canopy.
Absolutely, we could, yep, if you did that portico. Here's the portico, you can see the cruisers underneath, right over there. That would be where the auxiliary building is if we developed it. Here's your question, Taylor, about, I guess you saw it better.
Yeah, I could see it on the other
Saw
way.
it, yeah.
You basically can just use that grade to.
Yep. Here's another array of panels, and you can see the doors for the garage over there. Here's the concrete block construction, and I'm not saying we'd leave it concrete block. I left it. You can kind of see how the retaining wall almost becomes the concrete construction of the processing detention area. And then these will be that room, the corridor and the room above with smaller windows. And you actually have two more views that you can look at, and I think you'll understand it better once seeing these colored renderings. Here's Memorial Drive. This Memorial Park would be here, and this is Chase Road.
One of the things I like about this is, what's our elevation difference between where the building sits now and the apex of Memorial and Chase? You know, it's 174,
Oh.
and we're at 179,
So,
so 5 feet down.
Which one's Rick?
So at the apex of the two roads, the intersection of two roads,
That's at 174.
174, and
Yep.
our finished floor is at 179.5.
Yep.
So we're 5'5" up. So where I'm going with this is that when you're driving by, there's a lot of roofs there, but it's to the back of the building, and the building is almost
Sitting a little bit
centered,
higher.
yeah, it's centered on the apex. And so from the road, you're not gonna see most of that roof.
Really deceiving.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too that's important to me, and I've had some interaction with the civil and the site planners, is the juxtaposition of this building to the corner lot.
Mhm.
It's gonna be really important. And that's, the intersection's 110 degrees. And I'm gonna bisect that down the middle, and you can see that I'm really addressing the corners with the way I'm turning the corners with my pilasters,
Yeah.
and these well-proportioned L's that come off the side. So as you turn the corner, you'd see almost like an extension through the facade with the treatment and how it
looks really nice
pops out.
on the side. On
Thank
the
you.
side it does look nice.
It is very, it is very deceiving,
Yeah,
so which is perfect.
I love it.
Because
I'm not nuts about how that just sits kind of there.
Yeah, this is a very flat perspective.
Yeah.
But this is a very classical facade.
This part is great.
And don't forget, this is back. What you gotta see, when someone approaching, like for instance, I can take a view now that I've made this model. I could take a view as someone keeps walking and getting closer, and all you're gonna see is this classical portico really, as you walk and approach. Like this guy here, he'd be thinking that he was walking into the Pantheon at that point.
I'm not sure Aunt Mayo has been to the Pantheon.
That's the historic. The historic. You had a view that showed the building in relationship to the surrounding around it. Can you-
Was it a white one?
No, it was colored. Just flashed up for a second.
It's just these two, I rendered just these two.
Okay.
The sides are important because they're gonna be driving up the side street.
Yes.
That's really important. And coming up the street, the side is really important too, you know, as the front is.
The civil guys are trying to make a case of orienting it straight on Memorial Drive, which would put it at a real strange
Are you looking at
angle
this one?
to
Yeah,
chase,
no, I think the angle is
but,
good.
but not only that, is that this is tough land to develop.
Yeah.
So you're basically looking at the bank and the roof of the building, if you did
Yeah.
that. This, you can see how the facade and how the facade wraps around the broad roof. It's visible as you're turning the corner. The building's turning with you, the facade's going with you.
So what's their reasoning? Is it less site development if you
No,
square it up?
it's more site development, because like I said, this is the highest grade. The
Yeah.
more you cut into this wall just keeps getting taller. Like for instance, if you went this far back, you're gonna almost double the height. See the shadow going up? This tree, I would guess, is 10 feet taller, higher than the top of that wall.
Well, that's what I was just looking at, from the beginning down here
Yeah,
to where you are on these lines here, you're 20 feet.
yes,
So
exactly.
the building's gonna sit almost, you know, the trees are gonna be higher than the building
Yeah,
sometimes.
I've tried to
Trees
take
are
advantage of the
down
flattest
Memorial
part of
Drive.
the site.
Yeah.
So I'm still inquisitive as to
It's gonna
why,
soften the view of the building.
why he's trying to get you to square it up.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I think, I like bisecting that angle and
I
setting
do
the
too.
building
I
at
just,
that angle. And then I love the idea of continuing Memorial Park. I didn't have time to draw that in yet. But the park, this would kind of be a continuation of this where your flagpole would be.
And we got flagpoles everywhere
Do
in town
something
now.
with
Yeah. We're gonna have well, pretty
So-
soon. We're having at the bandstand and the.
On your site plan, you showed future expansion on the property.
That's what I never develop a site concept without trying to leave future expansion, even if they didn't tell me. And I've done that here. I know there's been no mention by the committee, but it's, as you can see, it would be not too difficult, especially if we can get the septic out of the way.
Yeah, because that's where I was going, we're gonna have detention basins or detention subsurface or surface detention for stormwater.
We got a
plus
long way to go.
A septic.
What I was gonna tell you is, this is about as far, I'm only comfortable about going this far until we now dive into the site, which we're waiting for this. Now we're gonna get it back to the civil. The next few weeks needs to be filled with, definitely a test pit, even if it's not an official test pit with the Board of Health, just get a shovel in the ground there and see what we're dealing with, and start interfacing with the civil for next meeting, and start laying out some of these things that are underground, because a lot of this may get used in the end. But that's the other good thing, is that we have it here.
Snow and ice on the roof, how's that handled? Is the pitch?
The ice will handle, unfortunately, a lot of ice on roof is caused by a poor envelope. There should only be ice on a roof when Mother Nature creates the condition, which isn't very often. So you're not gonna have ice on your roof from a poor envelope. And we'll try to, this pitch, we try to keep the snow on there, which is nothing better than snow staying on your roof. That's a great thing, but you don't want to go into ice. And then many times in a building like this, you can see the entry is very protected, nothing's going to slide that way, but we would put some snow
Yeah,
stops
that's
here.
what,
and
that's
come
what I
down.
was kinda thinking.
Yeah, those are very small pieces, but we could put, we would protect against sliding coming down there.
And you envision asphalt shingles.
Yes, yep. Cripes, those go years and years now, and it's by far the most, it's the best value, in my opinion, for a building like this. And they're aesthetically nice.
Looks good.
Looking at the roof is not the most attractive way to look at it either.
No,
And
it's,
this isn't, you know,
it's all out in the open.
I mean, it also is like you're up high, so that's what you're.
And this is not a perspective, by the way, it's an axonometric. So, there's no vanishing points going on here.
Yeah.
Nothing's diminishing, it's just staying its full dimension, so, typically that makes the building a little uglier. So if anything, it's gonna get pretty.
Yeah.
I like it.
Chief?
Cool.
It's like it's almost there, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I had that extra, I felt bad about that extra week, so I,
So you used it?
yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
While you're driving, you,
So do you want to plan to meet in 2 weeks?
Well, what I want to do is, I really feel uncomfortable going too much further till I get an input from a civil guy. I don't want to be doing something here that, we need to make those radiuses from the well.
Yeah.
Well, we can't put the septic where we want to. It's time to figure that out. So we need to interface with them, and I think, yeah, we could set 2 weeks, and I could bring back a report of that. I think that's really the next step.
I think we can look at a revised schematic plan.
Absolutely.
You know, tighten
That's
up.
a piece of cake.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
want to have enough to talk to you about the site, because
Sure.
that's very important, which we'll contact him tomorrow.
Yeah, great.
We've already contacted him. We just said we're waiting for what we got today.
Yeah.
Is it too premature to start talking with furniture vendors, things like this? Because we're building our budget as we go. We've got enough information here to get some conceptual stuff going on.
No, like you see, you know, we got some of these tough questions coming up, like in dispatch, you know, how the window's gonna work and how they're gonna lay those furniture out. So, you know, a lot of times the sooner the better, especially, why don't we wait, let me make those final tweaks in 2 weeks, and then.
Yeah, and then we can.
Yeah,
see what kind of square footage you're buying.
Very good.
thank you.
So 2 weeks out is
Holiday.
Good, Andy.
September 7th.
Cool. Yeah, I know.
We're into September. Is that good with everybody? It's a Thursday, same Thursday at 5:30.
Is that all right with you?
Is that the
Paul?
first
Yeah.
Thursday?
It's the first, yep.
First Thursday, right? It's a
Yeah.
Thursday. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Are we meeting the fifth?
I guess I could actually put it
Or are we meeting,
Yeah.
Monday's the holiday. We're meeting that week after. 11th?
It's on that.
I didn't bring
I
my
didn't bring
iPad.
it. I didn't bring it
The fifth was what I heard.
What was it?
The fifth,
The 5th?
yes, is what I heard.
either. It's the fifth, the Tuesday.
Tuesday, because Monday's the holiday. All right. Any
Great.
other
Anything else?
motion to
It
adjourn?
says radio vendor, are you not talking
Are you
about
done?
that?
Oh, I did get a quote from, I'll put it in an email and send it
Okay.
around. I got a quote for the radio vendor, to take a look at, do a propagation study for you guys and, take a look at your needs. So I'll send that to you, because I want really the police department to look at it, make sure it's what they need first. So I'll send that to you, chief,
And
take
that
a look
was
at it.
police, fire, and highway, I think?
It was just for police. It was Chick Langone, he gave you a call and talked about it?
Yes, but when I spoke to him, I did talk to him about the topography, the issues we had.
Let me take a look at what he sent me again. I just got it, so,
Nothing to connect.
if there was something you talked about doing police and fire,
Well, it's
then,
joint dispatch, so
Yeah,
it would have to be just police if you're doing joint dispatch.
yeah, well, I was specific about
Yeah, I just.
police, fire, and highway.
And highway.
I'm sure that's what he included
But
then.
Yeah, because it seems.
the issues of issues are gonna be common to all of those frequencies.
Yeah.
And our topography here and terrain creates a very, very difficult environment for radio. You need some type of satellites, and can't use phone lines.
Yeah.
The Verizon lines are unsupported, the copper lines, so you're looking at either RF or microwave.
Okay.
I really like those, and I love.
I'll send over what he put together.
And that's just for the study though, right? That's-
Yeah, it's just a proposal for the study. We'll get you one. They just came in this week.
I'm gonna turn in all my notes so you get the stuff when we're done, so it'll be really nice to have your logo on.
Anything else?
I think that covers everything.
All right, now we'll move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn.
You got it.
It is. Oh,
Second.
second.